Good morning. Welcome to Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, where we explore the behaviors of organizations and how that impacts the activities of everyone around them, everyone involved with the organization, everyone trying to help to make that vision come to pass. It's my pleasure to have spent this year, 2021, with you. I'm Yvette C. Owens. If you just have this pop up on your timeline, or you scroll through Facebook or YouTube, um, or LinkedIn, I'm Yvette C. Owens. I am the co founder of Destiny Speak and the creator of the Diplomat Chronicles and the creator of Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens. Again, we look deep into what is orchestrating and causing the behaviors and creating and forming that culture, what becomes the pillars of the culture of any organization. And if our leaders do not do that intentionally, then the environment, those involved with it, will define the culture. So I often always encourage leaders to be very intentional, be very intentional about the culture that you want, because certain people, different cultures fit certain people, and so they're looking for the culture that's the best fit for them, especially in this day and age. So, again, this is Yvette C. Owens. I'm so happy that you decided to join us. Please like and share this. If you would also go over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel where you can find more content that I'm sure will be helpful to you as an individual as well as an organization. I got the question the other day on Instagram, and the person was asking, do you coach individuals in addition to consulting with organizations? And the answer is absolutely yes. The Diplomat Chronicles is a leadership forum and a forum where I coach individuals in where they're hoping to be. I had my signature program is the Achievement Track program. So yes, I coach individuals. Um, and I we consult with organizations, again, really making sure we all achieving the goals that we want to achieve. Today, though, on Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, we're talking about, what are you thinking about, why are you thinking about it, and then what are you going to do with it. I think too often we get a thought, we don't, and we just let it roll through our head, our hearts, our souls, our spirits, and we just allow those thoughts to have their way. And the next thing you know, they've taken root, and it's becoming something that we had no idea or we're really conscious of. So that's why I wanted to talk today as we're getting ready to cross over into 2022. Let's be mindful. Be mindful of what you're thinking, why you're thinking it. And it takes time to do that. And this is a very complex and vast subject matter. So I am not trying to unpack it all today in this brief time that I have with you. So I'm asking your indulgence to please allow me to unpack it, at least to introduce it as a concept that we need to think about as we're building and creating healthier organizations for people to thrive in, because that's our goal, to help leaders create cultures that are healthy for everyone to thrive in. It does take time to unpack this. Stopping your actions, speech, your thoughts, your assumptions, your emotions, just enough to assess your state. That's really how I'm defining mindfulness. It's really to be able to stop all that thinking and doing, I would say. Your mind's race. This is not the same as overthinking. You're just constantly creating, you're thinking, you're all that. But are you aware of how you're feeling and how what's driving your thought process? And why you're thinking that way, so that you can undo what you don't like, or you can address what you're uncomfortable with, and you can reinforce what you do like, right? Because that's really what we want to do. Um, it really allows you to experience what we assume or what we take for granted, right? When you become more mindful of why you're thinking something, why you're thinking a certain way, why you feel a certain way about individual or organization or group of people or various circumstances, when you take the time to even, and when you can do this even in the moment, like, I'm feeling some kind of way about this. Take in, why am I feel how am I feeling? Am I, is it causing you to stress? Is it bringing you joy? Why is it bringing you joy? Um, is it something that you want to take ownership of? That's being mindful. Is it something that you want to take ownership of and act upon and become an anchor, have it become an anchor in how you are being created, how you're moving forward, because everything we experience becomes a part of us in some way, especially if we don't take don't take control over it. It's those moments you're having and determining what you want to do with it, right? So Ramdev said mindfulness is quieting your mind and calming your heart. When you can quiet your mind and calm your heart at the same time. So I believe Paul, when he says, I know how to live low, I know how to live without, and I know how to live grand with the statesmen. I can be with the best. I can be with scholars and government. I know how to live in both circumstances. I think because Paul was very mindful of what he was experiencing, and he was focused on the one word that he used in both situations: living. He was focused on living. And so we need to be mindful of what's our basis. Why am I in this scenario and what do I want to get out of it and what's most critical to me, and not letting all the other noise dictate how I respond to that. This is why I want to take the leap, help us to take the leap into mindsets of organizations, or you as members of organizations, and how you show up every day in this space. We can't keep simply saying that we're an organization that is involved in community organization, or we have a heart for children. We can't keep saying that we want to provide health care for everyone, better health care. We can't keep saying that we want to be an organization that really cares for people who are underserved, underrepresented, people of color, and not have it show up in our languages and our principles and our practices. We can't just have it become rhetoric. We cannot have those things, continue to say those things publicly out loud where people can hear it and then they're also watching. We have to be very mindful of what we're saying. And when we're not being what we say we are, then we need to really delve deep into why we are not being those things, how we can get better at it, and what are our real, true inner beliefs that are really dictating behavior over and above what we're saying, right? So we have to become better investigators, let me say that, of our practices, of what we're standing on or what we're building on. Determine to look inwardly and externally to be the change and the solution, and not just the propaganda, not just saying things because it sounds great. I wanted to share this, and this is even for individuals. Um, be able to be who you say you want to be. I remember saying to someone just yesterday, I want to make sure that my life, all aspects of my life, are what I introduce myself to as I introduce myself to others. I don't want anything to be lacking. I don't at least want to be in the process of getting to those places. But that means I have to be mindful and truthful and honest where I really am. And then why am I there? Why am I thinking the way I'm thinking? And then what am I going to do about those thoughts? Um, my dad was a musician and he left the Baltimore City public school systems as a musician and went to a rural area in South Jersey. Many of you might know of it, Woodstown, New Jersey, where they have the rodeos still, and things like that, teaching in the high school. Now, he could have gone into that environment just as a musician, an accomplished musician, educated with degrees to do music. But when he got there, he redefined and was able to live out more of his purpose, which he had really done all of his life, which was to really help people be all that they could be, to be realize their greatness, to be able to understand that they can go beyond their limits, the limits that other people put on them, and the limits that they put on themselves. So he did not just go into that environment as a music teacher, but he went in as a music educator, building up self-esteem, building up self-awareness through the music that he taught. So the Black students in that area were really being underserved. Um, they needed to have strong following, they needed to have strong support in following their dreams and knowing that it was possible and how they could actually work them out. And he stepped into that space, but he took the time to say, I'm feeling frustrated with what my students are feeling and what they're experiencing. How can I make their dreams a reality in the space that I'm in? Right? So he wasn't trying to take over the school board, he wasn't trying to be the principal, but he had this the space of being a music teacher, and that's what he was doing. And so he took those thoughts, he did not let them his frustration take him off track, but he utilized those thoughts to propel him and his students to do far greater. And he did it through his coaching of the football as well. Um, so, what do you do with what you find when you take the time to really assess your thoughts and calm your heart, quiet your mind, and calm your heart? Quiet your mind and calm your heart and say, I'm in this space. I I I do want to be an ally to people of color, but I have a fear. Or I do want to support people of disability with disabilities, but I don't know how to do that within my realm. Well, what do you do when you are like, I want to go further, but I'm feeling and I have this mindset, I have this thought, my mind is racing that people just won't let it happen. I've done my best, I keep trying, and people won't let it happen. In every one of those situations, whether you're an organization or an individual, quiet your mind, calm your heart, and take these 4 steps, at least to begin with. One is be willing to go deeper into the areas you're questioning. Don't, especially those areas that make you uncomfortable, right? So be willing to go deeper in the areas that make you uncomfortable, that you're questioning. Why am I thinking this way? I don't even know where this came from. And many times we end up saying, I wasn't even raised like this. This is not how I was taught. This is not even what I believe, but I'm acting out something that's really detrimental to me. And if we slow down our thoughts, we can see those things happening. And it's not only detrimental to me, but it's detrimental to the people around me that I'm trying to influence, that I'm trying to bring along with me. Quiet your mind, calm your heart, and step into that space where it may be uncomfortable, and be willing to know that you have the power to guide those thoughts. Now you take control. You do as deep delve into why you think you're, where they came from, what's the origin of them, and why. And now determine what you want to do with it. Two, challenge those areas you're thinking of enough based on the results they need to be experienced versus the results you embraced to see. Are you really making a meaningful difference? So I'll say that again. Challenge the areas you think you are okay with. Is it enough? Challenge the areas you think you are okay with. Is it enough? Are you making real meaningful changes? That's when we wanna be mindful. As an organization or an individual, you think, "Hey, I'm good. I'm doing this. I am truly an ally. If my friend needs a shoulder to cry on, I'm here." Well, what about some proactive steps? How can you make those changes? So you're doing good, but are you really making meaningful difference? And then number 3, be open to learn more from people on all sides of the arguments, all sides of the issues, to become more mindful in your steps. So we can talk about, yes, I'm a person of color. I know what it looks like. I've lived it for 60 some years, 61 to be exact years. So I know what it feels like. But am I willing to step across the issue and see what it feels like, and what my white friends or my Hispanic friends or my Asian or people of whitest descent or Hispanic descent or Asian descent are experiencing, people from the Middle East are experiencing? Am I willing to really experience and understand from their perspective and their culture? And then 4, be willing to become very uncomfortable and skillful in working through that uncomfortability, that discomfort in the moment. So I want to give you an example. And this is really simplistic but practical, and I think it will help you get the gist of what I'm trying to convey here. I went to a memorial service that one of my f- of for one of my friend's daughters who passed suddenly. And during this service, people obviously had some awesome things to say about this young lady, but there were some dancers, right? And the artistry of the dancers was phenomenal. But I noticed in my mind, I was judging the artist based on their attire, based on, and I trust me, nobody was inappropriate from the standpoint of like they were coming from a strip club or anything. They were not that. Um, but here's where's my context in which I was judging them, and that was making me very uncomfortable because I knew that the setting was so that people could freely express their love for this young lady, and it was in the setting that it was in, which was very neutral ground where anybody could come and share in this moment and hear these various dancers. I mean, powerful dancers, powerful artistry was expressing their love, their feeling, their hurt, their fears, all through their dance movements. And here I am sitting there critiquing their outfits. But I realized it was coming from the context of liturgical dance and sitting under in the presence of people who are teaching worshipers how to do liturgical dance and the proper attire for that. Now, I have been around the arts. I have been around entertainment, arts and entertainment all my life, from operas to ballet to Black history programs and Black history settings and things like that. From festive dancing, from Hispanics, Latin dancing, all that. I've been around all that. So this is why I guess I was in this moment really like struggling with, why am I sitting here evaluating and even offering my opinion in my mind around their attire? And I worked my way through that biases that I was having in that moment, in the moment. Now it was comfortable and I was doing it all internally, but I was more uncomfortable with my thought process than I was with the fact that I'm going to work through this. Okay? I'm not going to let this still linger. I'm not going to let this still hang in there. I'm not going to let this stay within me because this is ridiculous. This is just a silly thought. This is a silly judgment. This is just radically wrong critique. And I was not, I didn't just want to throw it away. I wanted to evaluate it so that I knew where it was coming from and I could properly place it eternally where it belongs, which is in the garbage. Right? Neither So that's where it was. So today that's why I wanted to talk about being mindful of what you're thinking, what comes, those thoughts that are coming, and when you can get skillful in the moment of evaluating what you're thinking and determine its proper end place. And that could be in the garbage. It could be in your heart because it's something that you want to build upon in faith, and have it to grow and nurture. It could be on the shelf because it's not time for it right now. It's not time for you to do anything with it, but you might need it in the future, or you might want to, research and discover it later. It could be, let's take it into the laboratory, and see what really comes out of this through research and development. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Organization success in 2022 will depend on our ability to be able to be honest in the moment of with our uncomfortable with what we're uncomfortable with, to challenge principles, practices, and fundamental pillars which we've been standing on, our organizations have been standing on for very, very long time. Core values. If you are a new organization, this is a great conversation for you, again, to be very intentional about what you're building. They show up, our thought process, they show up in our core values, they show up in our hiring practices, in the way we communicate, in the way we compensate people, in the reward system. And that's why we need to be very conscious and aware of how we're thinking about people and processes and the principles that we want to build our organization on. um, we really want to be able to be conscious of that when working with us. We want to see you, we, Destiny Speak, myself. I want to see organizations really create that environment, that space where people are free. And if we're holding people hostage based on our biases, based on thoughts that we've had either generationally, or we've been in groups or settings, or in the presence of different people, then we need to be able to challenge those things. I believe we have the power of life and death in our tongue, and what we say, how we say, when we say it really dictate what we experience. I also believe that we can shape our tomorrow by the things we say today. And that's why we have to be really good gatekeepers over what we're thinking. What we're thinking. It's time for us to see what we're saying, what we're believing for. And we can't do that um, if we're not being mindful and very thoughtful of what we're thinking. If you're hoping to build a strong business or a ministry or a community movement, and your thought process are thinking that people are going to be against us the whole way, they're going to fight us the whole way, you're going to be defeated from the gate. That doesn't mean that some people won't be against you, or some people won't even try to stop you, but there are plenty of people out there that will grab hold to your vision and help you. Even an individual, if you want to grow in a certain area, if you have the mindset that I'm going to go after this, but I probably won't make it because nobody in my family made it. Nobody in my nobody in my community ever did that. Nobody I know is doing what I want to do. Well, congratulations. That's great for you. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. People are demanding to see real sustainable change. No more empty promises. No more empty promises. Let's make sure that we're pausing, quieting our minds, calming our hearts to be true and honest as we're building whatever you're building or becoming whatever you want to become. I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to continue this conversation with you, with your team, your organization. Um, Connect with me at Destiny Speak LLC on Facebook or on Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Yvette C. Owens. Um, DestinySpeak.com, and the leadership forum is the Diplomat Chronicles. I hope you all have an awesome 2022, and take the next couple of days to think about what you're thinking about, why, and then put those thoughts in the right places that are going to serve you well as you cross over into 2022. Be safe, and remember, it takes each one of us to create a culture where everyone can thrive and be their very best. Have a great day. Bye bye.